Hey gang, Tiger Mike here. So I had this video up with a bunch of footage from The Mandalorian, but Disney keeps blocking it even though it's not really comparable to an entire episode or at all, but whatever. So they keep being a bother about it, so I'm just going to cut all the footage from it and I'm going to give it to you raw. So please excuse the lack of material around what I'm talking about. But, you know, you see all the episodes, so that's just as good. All right, here we go. Alright, yo. So I ran out of high-speed hotspot data, so I'm watching The Mandalorian on my phone. But the Dark Troopers are busting into the bridge right now, and I'm like, there's no way all these, like, I'm waiting for the fucking lightsaber sound to cut these guys down. And all of a sudden the fucking X-Wing flies in, and I'm like, I gotta fucking record my reaction to this. This is fucking intense. Because it's my guess that that's gonna be Luke Skywalker, Sebastian Stan, Luke fucking Skywalker. Or it could be Mark Hamill, but like with all the digitized young effect. But that's a pretty serious young effect if they're gonna do that. Grogu feels his presence. Grogu's like, somebody's here. With the fucking Jedi robe! This has to be Luke Skywalker. Who else could it fucking be? It looks like his, I mean, it's hard to tell through the security screen if it's his green lightsaber, but... Yes! Green lightsaber! With the fucking, it's definitely fucking Luke Skywalker. He's got the fucking glove on his hand. Holy fucking shit. Yes! What is Grogu doing? Is he reaching out or is he just looking? I fucking force crushed this thing! Open the doors. Ah, take off your fucking hood! It's gotta be Sebastian Stan. Who the fuck else? That might not be Sebastian Stan, but it's definitely Luke Skywalker. It's a huge CGI face. I'm less than enthused with this Luke Skywalker. I mean, the face is just... Ah! Fucking R2-D2, what? What? Looks like you got a little carrier's gonna pop out. I mean, they definitely did do a good job making the face. It's hard to tell how much altering they did to this person who I don't know what his face regularly looks like. So it's definitely not Sebastian Stan, and it's definitely not Mark Hamill. Okay, Bo-Katan seems to be fine. But now they gotta fucking figure out the issue with the Darksaber. What? That's where they fucking leave it? There's 7 minutes left. There's no way that they fucking took 7 minutes for the credits. What's going on here? What's going on? That was Mark Hamill? That's weird. That didn't look like Mark Hamill. I mean, it looked like a CGI version of Mark Hamill's Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker. If it was actually Mark Hamill doing those moves, that's awesome. Very cool. Good for him. But I think it would have been pretty cool to see Sebastian Stan. I mean, even Mark Hamill seemed to be like, dude, that's a no-brainer on Twitter or something. There's 5 minutes left here. Fucking R2-D2 out of the blue was awesome, though. Here we go. On Tatooine, at the Palace of Jabba the Hutt. Which is still actively a Hutt palace, it seems. Not led by a Hutt, but led by Grima Wormtongue. Or, fuck, what was his name? McClunky. Boba's back, baby. Mr. Fett wanted an audience with you.
What kind of valiant teeth
Oh, snap. The Book of Boba Fett. Will we get a Mandalorian Season 3? It doesn't even really say. You expect that to be the end of it. That's nuts. Oh, damn, that's nuts, gang. So, Boba Fett taking Jabba's palace for his own. The Mandalorian taking off his helmet in front of the kid to Luke Skywalker, who was apparently played by Mark Hamill and had this crazy CGI face on, so it didn't even really... It looked like somebody else playing Mark Hamill. Is straight up what it looked like. Or it looked like someone else playing Luke Skywalker. Straight up. It was odd. But whatever. It was fucking amazing to see all of a sudden this X-Wing flies in and you're just like, oh, that's gotta be Luke Skywalker. Yes! And then he's fucking kicking ass. So obviously those Dark Troopers weren't made of Beskar because the lightsaber was able to just cut right through them. But they were definitely made of something probably like Durasteel or a higher alloy that's blaster proof, because obviously Din Djarin couldn't destroy the one with the blaster. So fucking crazy finale. Will be interesting to see what happens with Luke and Grogu, because as we know, Luke's Jedi temple fails. And so this is way before that, though. So this is total mystery here as to how this fits in with known canon, and what's going to happen. We have to assume, by the way, I would just love to point out that I totally fucking called this, that Luke Skywalker or a Jedi would show up and like save the day at the end, or also be, fighting to get towards Grogu. So it was perfectly timed, everything. So it'll just be interesting to see what Luke and Grogu get up to. Oh, R2-D2 showing up was fucking phenomenal. That was a real surprise. That was just like, ah! What's gonna happen with the Mandalorian? His story's kind of over. He's taken off his helmet in front of multiple people at this point. And this is beyond the just all these Imperials who died and Bill Burr, who won't speak a word of it because, he knows that he's fucking just saved his life. Well, at least he knows that he's saved his life and getting him out of jail and all that shit. So you can expect him to honor that. But, now Cara Dune, Bo-Katan, her buddy, they've all seen, and Fennec Shan have all seen Mandalorian without his helmet on. So he can't return to his covert. So, or at least he would feel that he couldn't. And then you got the whole Darksaber debate, the Darksaber duel that has to happen. What I would do if I were the Mandalorian is, wake Gideon up, give it to Gideon, unshackle Gideon. All right, wake Gideon up, unshackle him, push him over, get everybody else out of the way, toss him the Darksaber and say, Bo-Katan, there you go. Now you have someone that you can fight for the Darksaber who you know is gonna fucking fight you. Because I just put this sucker back in his hands and this is the only chance of survival he's got. But here's a Beskar staff. That should help you out a little bit. And then let them duel it out. Hey gang, so I just wanted to take a second and tell you about one of my sponsors. Tasker Payment Gateways LLC specializes in assisting online merchants who sell high-risk products such as cigars, vape, cigarettes, and other tobacco products, CBD, hemp, and more modern cannabis associated, such as glassware like pipes and bongs, things like grinders, and other head shop accessories. Merchants who sell tactical, survival gear, or things of that nature, and other products that are generally prohibited on common payment gateways such as PayPal, Shopify, and the out-of-the-box things that you get with Wix and WooCommerce, and all of these other very common shopping cart utilities or online merchant utilities that online merchants need to use in order to process credit cards. So the processing credit cards piece is really what it all boils down to. Tasker Payment Gateways has recommendations, methods, and other various tools to help you as a merchant accept credit cards for your high-risk or prohibited products. So for example, if you wanted to start a CBD business online, you could contact Tasker Payment Gateways. He could recommend a merchant account and a payment gateway setup that would work for what you're trying to do, and then following through with those connections, you could set up your website to accept credit card payments for CBD products. So if you're interested in learning more, go to taskerpaymentgateways.com or look in the description of this video for additional contact information. But we'll see what happens, or maybe we won't. We hope we see what happens in a Mandalorian Season 3. But they very much left it where they don't need to continue the story of the Mandalorian. Now they got Boba Fett. Now they got this Luke Skywalker story. They got the Ahsoka and the Heroes of the Republic story, or the Rangers of the Republic story that are going to be TV shows. So it could be that the Mandalorian becomes the story of Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett, because this has all been chapters. You know what I mean? So we've finally gotten, I think, chapter 16 now. And so that could be the end of the book of Din Djarin. And we may be starting the book of Boba Fett. So be very interesting to see how that plays out. And we will see exactly how that goes. Probably in either the book of Boba Fett, or maybe there'll be a part of the Ahsoka story which finishes off Din Djarin's story, because maybe Ahsoka goes looking for Bo-Katan and they get into this conversation where they play a flashback, and it's like, well, Bo-Katan had to kill Din Djarin because he had the Darksaber, but you know, he wants to live to see the kid again. Whew. There's a lot going on here, gang. This is quite an epic finale. And it was so funny because, you know, Din Djarin pulls the lever and all the Dark Troopers get sucked out into space, and you're just like, dude, they're droids with fucking rocket feet. They'll be back. Anyway, epic finale, just phenomenal, and super excited to see what Filoni and Favreau have in store for us next, because I'm totally all about their style of storytelling and their revamping of the Star Wars universe. And let's hope the Ahsoka series resets the sequels and turns them into legends, because the Ahsoka series, if you haven't noticed, the design around that circle around Ahsoka's name is reminiscent of the World Between Worlds and the portals therein. And, you know, so it's expected that Ahsoka's going to have something to do with the World Between Worlds, rescuing Ezra, which incidentally saves Thrawn, and then we'll catch up to that whole story. So it will be very interesting to see when Ezra comes back into the story, and how and what Thrawn's been up to. We can assume Gideon's story is over. He's been taken by Cara Dune, who's going to be taking him back to the Republic so he can face charges and interrogation and all these fun things. So, whew, just a stellar episode, stellar finale, and geez, I guess we'll see what comes of it in the future. Really, a couple of interesting things after having rewatched the episode. I finally started to formulate where we left off and why, and where I think we're going to go from here. So I wrote down a couple of thoughts for the coffee talk. So a couple of questions people might be having. First of all, what's going to happen with Grogu and Luke Skywalker? Is that going to be another story? Is that going to be intertwined into a future season somehow? You know, I think that we're not going to really see much of it. We may get a couple of flashbacks, and then if and when Grogu rejoins the story, which he probably will, maybe either later in season 3 or in season 4, then we'll probably see some flashbacks to his training and all that stuff. But ultimately, I don't think we're going to see much of that. I think time's going to pass at some point, and we're going to meet an older Goku. And we're going to meet an older Grogu. Or at least it might not even have been that many years. But it's known that Yoda was a Jedi Master by the age of 100. So we have to assume that the next 50 years of Grogu's life are going to be a lot more growth than the last 50 years of his life. So we'll see how that goes. But, you know, he might start aging very quickly. And so in 5 years, he may age what we would think of or mature, 10 or 20 years. So we'll see. So next up, what's going to happen with Moff Gideon? So I think this is where we're going to come into the Rangers of the New Republic series. I think that's going to deal with the debrief / interrogation and the trial of Moff Gideon, which is just something that I bet you the New Republic's going to do. You know, they're not a super well organized government, and to further expose all the crimes of the Empire, it would make sense to put such a high up important officer on trial, have this whole big show, say, oh, weren't these guys so bad? Aren't you so much better with us now? So I think that's kind of going to be part of Gideon's story. If they were smart, they'd kill him really quickly. And that would eliminate any chance of him being rescued by any Imperial loyal officers or former officers or whatever. Or just in general corrupt people, because we know there's plenty of them in the Star Wars universe who would, oh sure, I'll take some credits in exchange for letting somebody, giving somebody access to this prisoner. Oh no, the prisoner escaped? Well, shucks. And then you have bounty hunters and plenty of the criminal underworld that could, and like in the Clone Wars, we had a lot of bounty hunters like Cad Bane, who did some pretty daring rescues in his time, and attacked the very center of the Republic in Coruscant and went up against their highest security locations and was able to escape. So we could see something similar to that. But I think Rangers of the New Republic is going to take over the rest of Gideon's story in whatever form that's going to be. I think it's important to note that, some people might think of Thrawn, and maybe Thrawn will make a move to rescue Gideon. I feel like the Imperial Remnant has factions. I feel like they've splintered. And while they might all be going off of the orders of the Emperor's last commands, things like Operation Cinder and some legacy initiatives that were to be started, but I think there's still a lot of competition for the higher ranks. And I think Gideon being out of the way and the blood being delivered were the two two very important things. So first of all, Grogu's blood. We know that Gideon got a lot of blood out of Grogu. Probably would definitely have wanted to keep Grogu to have an unlimited supply of that blood, but it's most likely that the scientist who they captured at the beginning of the episode was on his way back from delivering that blood to a new facility. And so maybe he was going back to Gideon's ship, in order to transfer Grogu to a different facility or something. But Gideon knew that the Mandalorian was going to make a play. So the smart thing to do is to separate the valuable product from your asset, Grogu, from the asset itself, so that they're not in the same location. So if one's taken, the other is still a reliable source. So most likely that blood was taken to a facility and is being worked on to create a Snoke or the Emperor's clone body or whatever. And we may find out more about that in the Ahsoka series, because it's likely that Thrawn will now be able to take over all of Gideon's projects now that Gideon's out of the way. So it doesn't really make sense for any Imperial remnant force to go and rescue Gideon. As we've seen in countless facilities that get destroyed, or if you're caught, you're expected to kill yourself. And that's not... Gideon didn't try to kill himself because he was afraid of torture or Luke Skywalker. He wasn't afraid of anybody. He didn't want the information he had getting into the New Republic's hands. And he didn't know what methods they were going to use to take that information, or maybe he did. Regardless, he did not want the possibility of that information falling into the wrong hands. And he knew that the thing to do was to kill himself, because it was going to be the end result anyway. The Republic was just going to execute him eventually. So why be taken prisoner? If you have the opportunity to kill yourself right beforehand, you should do that so the enemy doesn't get your information. That, I think, kind of is the whole Gideon, what's going to happen next situation. So I think Rangers of the New Republic will pick up that story, and it might start out with him giving them information, either voluntarily or through some sort of means of torture or persuasion. And that's what leads them on this mission out into the Outer Rim, where the Rangers would come into play, and they're going to look for something's going on in the Outer Rim, and we need to figure it out. And that's what that's going to be all about. That's my theory. All right, so, okay, the Darksaber, Bo-Katan, and Din Djarin. So as we see at the end of the episode, Din Djarin is in possession of the Darksaber, and he won it from Moff Gideon. Now, if I were Din Djarin and I wanted to appease everything, I would have straight up picked Gideon up, stood him up, and said, hey, I'm letting you go, push him back, walk back, toss him the Darksaber, and say, here, Bo-Katan, you get the Beskar staff. There you go. Duke it out. And at that point, Bo-Katan would probably win or whatever. Gideon wouldn't be getting away, you know what I mean? They would be able to subdue him because there was like 5 other people there. But at least she could have won it in combat. Obviously, that's not what happened. And so with an unconscious Gideon on the floor, I think Bo-Katan decided, you know what? Maybe you are the leader of the Mandalorians after all. Maybe she persuades Din Djarin that I can't take it from you unless I do it in combat. So instead, I'm going to follow you. Because we've seen Bo-Katan isn't egotistically trying to be the leader of Mandalore. She doesn't really care that she's the leader of Mandalore. We saw this in Rebels, when Sabine tries to give her the Darksaber. Initially, she doesn't even sure if she's right for the leadership to be able to take it, and she doesn't want to take it because it's not in a combat. So eventually Sabine does give Bo-Katan the Darksaber, but this is after the entire Mandalorian arc, where they've destroyed the arc reactor weapon that targeted the Beskar, called the Duchess, that was created by Sabine. In going through this entire thing and defeating Saxon and all the other Mandalorian commanders that were supporting him and the Empire, after defeating all of them, that was, in a sense, her trial to earn the Darksaber, which Sabine and Bo-Katan both knew Sabine was not worthy of leading. Mostly because she created the Duchess. First of all, Sabine was very young. She certainly wasn't the strongest Mandalorian, although she's a great fighter. But, you know, that wasn't her thing. Being the leader of Mandalore wasn't her thing anyway, so she didn't want that title. And she didn't win the Darksaber. She found it on Dathomir after Darth Maul left it. He just straight up left it. He didn't even lose it. He just straight up left it. So you have to think about what Bo-Katan's motives are. And does she care about being the leader, or does she care about the future of Mandalore?
You told us you destroyed it.
I did. The Empire must have rebuilt it.
You're a Mandalorian. Why would you create such an abomination? This is the weapon of a coward.
When I realized the Empire tested it and actually planned to use it, I sabotaged the prototype and destroyed the plans. I thought that was the end of it, I swear to you.
Okay, so this weapon only targets Mandalorian armor, right? So why not make your armor out of something different?
Ezra, the armor I wear is 500 years old. I reforged it to my liking, but the battles, the history, the blood, all lives within it. And the same goes for every Mandalorian.
This armor is part of our identity. It makes us Mandalorians who we are.
And now it's going to make us dead.
I'm surprised to see you so swayed by Sabine Wren. You seem to be as impressed with her as I am.
I had my doubts, Rao. But she came back to face her past, and her bold initiative has impressed me. She has become a courageous leader. She reminds me of the best of who we were, and could inspire us to become more than we have been of late. I will not allow her efforts to be wasted. This is only the beginning. The Empire will send everything they have to crush Mandalore.
That is why you should lead us, my lady.
You had the courage to make a difficult decision.
With your guidance. You have the wisdom of a ruler. There's no one I trust to wield the Darksaber more than you. And I am not alone.
Clan Vizsla is with you.
Clan Rook is with you.
Clan Elder is with you.
Clan Kreese is with you.
The Protectors are with you.
Clan Wren is with you.
Now I understand why the saber came to me. It came to me so I could pass it to you.
I accept this sword for my sister. For my clan. And for all of Mandalore.
I think she cares more about the future of Mandalore. And Din Djarin, in taking off his helmet to say goodbye to Grogu, shows Bo-Katan that, you know what, he's ready to be a true leader. Not only did he beat Moff Gideon, not only did he defeat at least one Dark Trooper, but he has consistently been able to rise above the challenges that are presented to him. She doesn't know about the Mudhorn from the episode where Grogu uses the Force to stop the beast, the Mudhorn beast, from killing him, because that was just not a well thought out plan that he had. But most of the time, he's able to rise above the challenges presented, except for the time when Bo-Katan saved him from drowning, being drowned by a bunch of Quarren. Anyway, so my theory is Bo-Katan is going to swear fealty to Din Djarin, and she's going to try to convince him to take up the title of Mandalore, so that Din Djarin will be the new Mandalore, the leader of the Mandalorians, with the Darksaber. Because Bo-Katan's been second in command before, and she was totally fine with it. When she was in Death Watch, she was number 2. And she has had her own clans over the time. Like, she has the Night Owls back then, and then after she leaves the Death Watch, she probably calls themselves the Night Owls again. That's why her helmet is designed as such. You know, it has those designs because of that whole motif. So, while she is totally willing and able to be the leader, she doesn't have to be. So, I think instead of fighting Din Djarin, because she wants him on her side, obviously, it makes more sense to just follow him and have her kind of be the, this is how we go about doing this, and him being the symbol of leadership for reuniting the Mandalorian clans. We would hope that he would also bring in the Watch, his original coven, the Children of the Watch, into the fold as well. And maybe he could convince them that we're at a time where we can remove our helmets again, like the Mandalorians of old, instead of hiding because of necessity from the Empire or other forces that would take advantage or kill us. And so now that that time has passed, it's okay to take off your helmets and show your face. The way is not about hiding your face. The way is about staying true to the lifestyle of the Mandalorian. So, when Bo-Katan says to after Moff Gideon that it's true that she has to win it in combat, I think she's processing all this in her head and going, yeah, it's true. But Moff Gideon's not expecting me to follow Din Djarin, because Din Djarin also isn't an egotistical, power-hungry person. He's going to follow the path that's best. And now that he doesn't have a ship, you know, I think what would make sense is Bo-Katan uses the Imperial Light Cruiser as a rally point and as a command center, goes around and collects Mandalorian clans and starts uniting the clans again. And Din Djarin takes Bo-Katan's fighter, her transport fighter ship, and goes around and does the same and tells people to meet up with the light cruiser. Then we have the book of Boba Fett. So it is possible that we don't get another season of Din Djarin. It is possible that Bo-Katan does decide to kill him, or to take the, you know, to do her best to take the Darksaber from him, and in doing so, killing him, or maiming him or injuring or something. But it's possible that she does take the Darksaber back and defeats Din Djarin to do so. And it's possible that season 3 of The Mandalorian is chapter 1 of the book of Boba Fett. And the reason is it's interesting that they call it the book of Boba Fett. So this could be the end of the book of Din Djarin, and we just didn't know that it was The Mandalorian, the book of Din Djarin, chapter 1 through 16. So now we might have chapter 1 of the book of Boba Fett. It'll be interesting to see. I would hope that we get a 3rd season of Din Djarin and we continue his saga. It could also be that there's a season or 2 or 3 of a gap, and in 2 seasons or 3 seasons we come back to the story and the book of Din Djarin, and that would help the entire idea that time has passed, Grogu's been trained, and now we're continuing on. Now Grogu leaves Luke Skywalker and returns and finds Din Djarin for some reason or another. Maybe something happens to Luke. Maybe, you know, he goes missing and needs to be saved. Who knows? There's plenty of options out there. Yeah, so I think that's really the biggest points that I had on all the theories that I think is coming for the future of the Mandalorian series. I can't wait to see the book of Boba Fett and to see what he does in the criminal underworld, starting with Tatooine. So we'll leave you with that, gang, and looking forward to the Mandalorian special that I believe is coming up on Christmas or Christmas Eve this week. So look out for that, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to keep an eye out for the travel blog updates and all that fun stuff. Also gonna have some Star Trek videos coming out soon. I know I keep mentioning that, I keep promising that. Life's been a bit crazy. Currently dealing with a lack of rear suspension in the RV, so I gotta fix that tomorrow. Of course, it happens on a Saturday, so then I have to stay put for Saturday and Sunday until Monday, when I can call up somebody to figure it all out. But it shouldn't be that difficult. I'm hoping that things will go pretty smoothly. Anyhow, we'll catch you next time, gang. Tiger Mike, signing off. This is the way.